What's going on, everybody? I am here with Taylor Jones, and we are going to interview him about underwriting. And we are in absolutely beautiful Telluride, Colorado. Taylor Jones is the head of acquisitions for TechVestor, for STR Search. Nobody has underwritten more deals than Taylor Jones over the past 4 years. If they have, tell them they can come work with us, all right? But Taylor is going to answer some questions that are common mistakes that people make when it comes to underwriting short-term rental deals. That's what we want to focus on today. He knows underwriting inside and out, so I'm going to interview him, and we're going to learn a little bit about what he knows in the back of his head, all right? So, Taylor, first thing right off the bat, what is the number one mistake that people make with underwriting? That the most common mistakes that you see over and over and over again?
Most common mistakes, bar none, are undershooting the expenses. And a lot of victims to this are categories such as utilities. A lot of people say, oh, well, my utility bill's $200 a month. I'm going to underwrite $200. But think about you as a traveler. The very first thing you do when you check into a hotel or an Airbnb is you crank the air conditioning down to 62 degrees.
Yep.
All of a sudden now that AC bill gets running. In addition, nobody cares about the back door going in and out with the kids, the windows being left open, and all of that will yield to significantly higher utility bills.
So how can somebody get their utility bills? How can they get that more dialed in? Do they just overestimate? Is there a place that they can go? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the best ways, if you haven't been in the space, is to network with other short-term rental investors and really get a taste of, hey, if I'm buying a 3-bed that's maybe 1,200 square feet or a 5-bed that's 2,500 square feet, kind of get a taste, and you can ask in some of these Facebook groups, networking events, conferences, because until you've truly been in the space and understand it, it's definitely undersold significantly for several hundred. We're talking, I've seen $200 to $600 a month light, which will obviously cost you, $3,000 to $7,000 a year in free cash
Which
flow.
means you could be expecting a 10-20% cash on cash. You get one of your operating expenses wrong. Now you're down to like a 2 to a 5% after you hit that first full year, and you didn't realize it when you're first doing it. So you want to make sure you have that dialed in before you have to operate for an entire year and you've already bought the property and all that, right? So that's the first thing.
Yeah, other thing would be property taxes on reassessment. So
explain that. On reassessment.
Yeah, so after you purchase a property, depending on what state you're in, the property is going to get reassessed, whether that be that next year or several years down the road. And so you can't look at what the potential taxes you're going to be paying on based on the current owner, but you need to look at what it is for yourself. So again, this could shoot up and add $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 that you're not accounting for if you're not looking at what the new reassessed value is in the taxes category.
So how can somebody figure that out?
You can obviously go look at the property appraiser's website for the municipality that you're buying in, and then you can obviously calculate, hey, if I buy this property for this new purchase price, whether it's 500 grand, a million, whatever you're buying it for, that'll give you a rough idea so you can understand, hey, this is what my reassessed tax bill is going to be, and you can accurately underwrite it.
Okay, and then you said there was a third one as well?
Yeah, CapEx.
CapEx.
This is physical real estate. Stuff breaks. At the end of the day...
Sorry, explain CapEx just in case anyone doesn't know exactly what that is.
Yeah, big capital expenditures. So your big suspects here are going to be roof, HVAC, electrical, and water heater. So understanding how much life you have left on your roof, how old your HVAC is, you need to understand that those expenses will, come up to bite you. And if you do not leave money underwritten to account for them, for whether saving for a rainy day, you will definitely lose out when you get hit with, a $20,000 or $25,000 roof, a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 HVAC, and everything underneath that as well.
Beautiful. Okay, so the next question I have for you is, when you are looking at an underwriting sheet, what is it that is a trigger to say, hey, this is a good deal, right? What metric are you looking for on the underwriting sheet to say, yep, let's go for this one? And before you answer that, my arm is killing me, so let me switch over to this side here.
There we go.
And then we got to reset. Okay, go ahead.
It's always going to be is, what is your downside scenario? So you need to look at, what's the low side of your underwriting. Because at the end of the day, on a best case scenario, you're of course going to like the deal. But what you need to understand is, hey, on a low case scenario, what is happening here and can I live with it? And at the end of the day, what I always look for is, what's the low scenario? That's your downside. And if you're okay with that, then you buy the deal, because at the end of the day, if it does hit there, whether it's a recessionary environment, you misrepresented your revenue projections and you did only hit the low end, those things you can at least live with. If you're only buying to the deal based on the return of the high side or the bull case scenario, you're in for a lot of risk that if you don't hit that number, you're going to be severely upset with the returns that you're getting.
when we were at TechVester, and I mean, we're still at TechVester, but one of the things that we learned when Taylor and I were working so closely at TechVester was that we wanted to only purchase if we were okay with the downside. Because you can get really wrapped up on like, what's that best case scenario? I can make 20% cash on cash, all these different things in that best case. But then your worst case is like you're losing 10%. And that would be not what you want, right? You want the downside to have a nice protection for you, nice little cushion, and then everything else is a cherry on top. And that's really what we try to strive for whenever we're looking at these types of deals.
Absolutely.
With all that being said, is there anything else that you're thinking that...
No, those are the good, those are kind of the basics that are the common traps that people fall in. And
Yep.
if you could really stay disciplined and not fall in those traps, you can really get to understand your numbers and underwrite well.
Here's one last one that I do want to give. Don't assume what the cleaning fee is going to be. Call 3 companies, figure out exactly what it is actually going to cost, and then put that into your underwriting sheet. I made a gigantic mistake on that one time, and I missed about $10,000 worth of expenses because I was going from one city where it was relatively cheap to get it cleaned compared to one city where it was not, and I just didn't know that at first. So make sure to make some phone calls. It takes maybe 15 minutes to a half an hour to be able to do that, all right? All right, appreciate you, Taylor.
Absolutely.
So, all right,
Sounds great.
See you guys.